to Uninformed Movie Reviews number 40. We turned 40 today. It's good to see you, space cowfolk. This is Danny Two Hands here with David and Frank and Meryl. And we're here to talk about Netflix's Cowboy Bebop, based off of the 1998 Cowboy Bebop seminal anime. Acting!
I had no idea the anime had anything to do with the Seminole Indians. That's super interesting.
Now you'll watch it?
Now I might check it out.
Seminole and Seminole.
We're going to go over the plot, what we think of it compared to the anime. Netflix doesn't really have a good track record as far as live adaptations, so this will be fun. Welcome back, guys.
Yay! I'm excited.
I'm present.
Same.
So what? Overall impressions, I guess, first?
Yeah, let's go with overall. Why don't you go first?
I'll go first? Okay. This is interesting because getting into it, the first few episodes, I felt very intrigued. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Things are very different. But I'm not one who is like, it must be exactly as the anime, because then why do it again? You know what I mean? It should be its own thing. It's a different medium. But as the show goes on, I think the problems with the show, and of course we'll get more into it, the problems become greater as the show goes on. Mm-hmm. And by the last two episodes, it was the low point for me. So it was kind of like a slow descent down where even at its peak, I wasn't, thrilled or anything. I was like, okay, I'm interested to see where this goes. So overall, it's okay. It's aight, I think would be the best descriptor I can use. Good. It's aight. You're not going to miss anything by not watching it. You might be very angry watching it, or you might be slightly annoyed.
Damn.
But I don't think you'll be like, applauding or saying, wow, this really stands up to what I've expected.
If I may
yeah,
I go,
go for it. Of course.
I felt all of those sentiments, definitely. I feel like I felt them in the reverse order that you did, because within the first 15 minutes of the first episode, I was groaning and I was like, please, let's turn this off. Like, damn, I have to watch 10 episodes of this, because I love the anime. I agree with you 100%, David. It doesn't need to be done to a T. I feel like Netflix went so hard the other direction because everyone talked crap about the Death Note one, and deservedly so. That thing's a piece of crap. But then Netflix was like, all right, let's just take it the complete other direction, and it has to be as it is on anime on screen. And it's like, why do that? There's already perfection when you have this. You don't have to have a cake with a completely different flavor that looks exactly the same on the, what I mean?
It's like when a band does a 1-for-1 cover. It's like, no, well, show me what you can do with this. Like, throw your flavor on it.
And you know what? That 1-for-1 cover almost is never as interesting as the original.
No, absolutely.
It might sound better just because of technology improvement, but it's never going to have the same feel to it. So.
I agree. But, as things went on, I was pretty much groaning for the first two episodes. And then, I think from episode 3 to about episode 9, I was like, this is okay.
Yeah,
all right.
There's and you know what? There is some good stuff in the show. There's some scenes that are really good and some really good aspects, but not entirely.
But they just felt like they paid so much attention to the visual details that they just,
Well, sorry, but to piggyback off you a little bit too, something that I was thinking of while watching this is that, people always talk about the book to TV adaptation. Or lately, the comic book to TV or movie adaptation. I don't think there's one that's more complicated than anime to live action, though.
Yeah.
Because anime's got such a specific flavor to it, and so much of it is not going to translate to real people on screen, without
let alone American audiences.
Yeah, and then there's also the big cultural jump too. So there's a lot going against it. Where at least when you watch Japanese live action adaptations of anime,
it's okay.
They get a little closer.
Yeah.
But still not quite the same.
Before we hear your point of view, I just want to quote this one little article that is kind of resonating with what we're saying. And it's just kind of a point you brought up, actually. It's by, I'm going to butcher this name, but Toussaint Egan from Polygon.
That sounds right to me.
The name of the article is Cowboy Bebop Turns a Classic Anime into a Saturday Morning Cartoon. The quote I want to say is, okay, the original Cowboy Bebop anime was like a critically acclaimed band with a nigh-perfect career of defining hits. And the 2021 Cowboy Bebop is a ska funk cover band playing through its hits. And you know what? That kind of just reminds me of what you were saying. So let's hear your point of view,
Yeah,
Frank.
what do you think?
Hey, it's me, Frank, your non-anime resident. Conceptually, it's a show that I should love. It's like a space bounty hunter cowboys. What a dope premise. And like David was saying, there is some good stuff. There were like several scenes and even like a whole episode where I was like, you know what, this is pretty dope. But for the most part, in between those moments, I was just pretty bored, if I'm being honest. And I wasn't hateful at the end of the watch. It's not like terrible. But I was mostly just like indifferent most of the time. There are like some annoying qualities to it, like character wise. And yeah, like I was saying before we got started, like I'm not a fan of anime like pacing. And it's like you were saying, it has a very distinct flavor to it. And I think it's that flavor that I just don't like. It's like me and pickles and just like I can't get around it.
Oh, I love pickles.
You were just saying you watched the first episode of the anime after this just to ground yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But so what do you mean by pacing? I'm a little curious.
So the way the anime stories they do, it almost feels like
Classic anime?
What a mind fart. What a
Brain fart?
Brain fart.
That too?
I just brain fart. But the like hard like almost like jump cut nature to an anime storytelling. I think especially in this one, in both the show and the live adaptation, the way that all the characters are laid out, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain.
Interesting.
It's kind of hard to explain, but every anime has that familiar like storytelling like pace to it. I'm sure every animator is different.
Yeah.
It's not like I've seen a ton of them, but I have friends who are anime fans, and every now and then
you've seen a
they
handful.
suggest, hey, this is the one that you have to watch. This is the one you have to watch. And sometimes they're winners, and sometimes, like Cowboy Bebop, I've seen the first episode maybe 3 times in that same situation. It just doesn't grab me.
Which is really interesting.
It's really sad, Frank. It's sad.
I feel pretty okay about it.
It's like when your friends tell you like, Between the Buried and Me's okay. You're like,
I could get that. I get
as a
get it.
metalhead,
Yeah.
like as a metalhead, as you should be as anime nerds, that's something you should be used to and kind
I
of
guess it's
expect
true.
sometimes.
I think in that analogy, I would say it's more like someone that says they love prog rock telling me they don't like Between the Buried and Me. Then I would be a little concerned. I'd
That's
be
true.
like,
although
what?
Frank's not claiming to love anime.
Exactly,
But he
yeah.
does love the kung fus.
right.
I do like kung fu.
And
and bounty
sci-fi.
hunter stuff.
And if
sci-fi.
anything, that's what I liked the most about the show. It's got some really
got good
solid
kung fu.
fighting choreography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I especially love the scene where Jet is like he's watching his daughter's recital through that like projector thing.
Yeah.
And what's his face? Spike is fighting that whole like crew in the background the whole time. Is so delightful.
That is really
I
funny.
really enjoyed.
There's some really funny stuff there.
Why don't we go through it and we'll just take a beat by beat. Let's look at the adaptations of the characters first. What do you think?
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Why don't we look at, first off, obviously, Spike Spiegel.
Yeah.
David, what do you got to say
Well-
about John Cho's portrayal?
So in my mind, Anime Spike has these qualities. Anime Spike is aloof. He's also like one of the best fighters. You know what I mean? He's a syndicate guy. That part hasn't changed. So he knows how to kill people, and he does it really well. And then Spike is also just driven by his need to find Julia is really what it is. I mean, in the show, he's
Pretty one-sided.
that's all it is. He's looking for Julia, and he's just got this level of like, I don't care about anything whatsoever at all. In the TV show, I feel like Spike comes across as a little more snarky.
Yeah.
He's still really looking after the Julia thing, but he doesn't have that sense of whatever happens, or even as they
Yeah.
say in the show, they have like a easy come, easy go kind of
Like
thing.
ambivalent kind of sense.
Yeah, very ambivalent, very just kind of like floating in and out.
I feel like his character in this adaptation was also more so leaning towards self. What's the word I'm looking like? he's self-redemption.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For the crappy things he's done.
He even has a line where he's just trying to like make good on his wrongs.
Right.
Yes.
And as far as like from the anime, David, you can probably agree with this because this is definitely like not only a 90s anime trope, but it still kind of carries on in today into where the aloof character is like somehow extremely powerful beyond anyone's imagination, just like Vash the Stampede in Trigun. I mean, Spike Spiegel, and even like in One Punch Man, like Saitama, and even Goku in Dragon Ball Z. You know what I mean?
Goku's got a little more of that classic silly oaf protagonist, which is another big 90s anime thing, like Rurouni Kenshin, just being kind of like a putz, but then when it's time to fight, he's very serious.
Right.
So there's some connections there for sure. As a performer, I actually think John Cho is probably one of the best ones in the show. Like, I think his performance is really good as Spike. I think he did a really good job with the physical, like his kung fu looks legit. It doesn't look like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill.
There's a few scenes though where they do a pretty bad job of hiding the fact that it's like
a double.
A double. You know what I mean? The hair's super wrong or the body's all off.
Whenever there's like a flip going on.
Yeah. But for the most part, it looks really solid.
I honestly think that John Cho wasn't the right choice for Spike.
It was just distracting to me the whole time that in my head, I was
Harold.
like, yeah, that's Harold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that. It's definitely one of those roles that transcends an actor that you just have to take a long time to shake off. But I just don't feel like aesthetically he is what Spike would look like on screen.
Because he looks much stockier, like in the anime, right?
Yeah,
like, at
he's
least,
a little
like, upper
taller.
body-wise.
Yeah, lankier.
He's got that Kylo Ren,
the hip,
the Last Jedi,
long torso.
Yeah, he looks like a Roblox character, but with like really thin and lanky arms.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, no one actually looks like that.
True.
You know what I mean? So
I thought, yeah.
You have to give him a little bit of credit there. It is tough to shake a role like that, though.
Yeah.
It's like, what's his face, who plays Stifler? Sean Evans?
You know what?
William?
Sean William Scott.
Sean William Scott.
Goon erased it for me.
Yes.
Goon
Because
is
now
so
in my
good.
head, Sean William Scott's the guy from Goon.
So that's what I'm saying. If Cowboy Bebop was more solid overall, if it was just like, okay, this show is solid, then John Cho might have been able to escape it. It might have been
that's
like
Spike.
Yeah, John Cho's Spike. You know what I mean? But he's still Harold, I think.
I don't think he transcended the role. I just think that he was serviceable. I just don't think he was the best.
And it's funny because it's like Harold, but playing Kumar's character.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I guess
That
it
is
kind of
funny.
I would give him a little more credit. Honestly, my biggest issue with Spike is more the writing. I think a lot of the show's got really bad writing in the dialogue.
Oh, the dialogue's so bad in this show.
Yeah, it's
oh my
there's
God.
there's just, and some of it is like there's parts where they quote the anime.
Yeah.
Like especially the last episode. There's whole dialogue where it's quoted, but again, it's like this makes more sense when it's animated characters
From the 90s.
and they're like bigger than life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you put those words into like a real person's mouth, it's like
And then a lot
Comes
of
a
it,
little cringy.
like we were saying, from like adapting an anime, it's like, especially an anime from back then, it's like this anime is a very simple premise, and most animes are technically like a simple premise, but what transcends the rest of it is the style of the animation, like what the overall style. Like anime is all style. It doesn't even have to have that much substance sometimes.
oh yeah,
to
like
carry
Fooly
it.
Cooley or something.
Oh yeah, like
Fooly Cooley
that's
is
a
great
dumb
example.
story.
It's a dumb story. It makes no sense.
Fooly Cooley?
Yeah.
Fooly Cooley.
They call it FLCL.
It's a kid who can morph his body into whatever he wants.
No one can tell you what that show's about.
No one knows what it's about.
No one knows what it's about.
But like Paranoia Agent.
Paranoia Agent is another good one.
Story makes zero sense.
Yeah. Even Evangelion, most of it is like it makes sense after like the 20th time you've watched it and you've like taken notes and dissected things.
But it's not
After
a
you
casual
said,
thing.
what? A million times?
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
over a
okay.
20-year span.
It's like a lifelong process. Okay, so that's Spike. What do you guys think about Jet?
I thought he was great.
I really like Jet.
I think he's the best one done.
Jet is the second best for sure for me. Next to
Ein.
Next
I
to
was
Ein.
just gonna say
next to our good boy Ein. He's perfect.
he was the best one in the entire series.
He's perfect. I
You
mean, he's
gotta love a dumb little corgi butt just plopping around.
when he's walking off screen, you're
Oh,
always
yeah.
like, oh.
Mustafa Shakir is the actor.
I was like, that's the name of the dog?
No.
It just cracks me up that people were like up in arms about Jet being black.
Jet seems black.
He seems black in the anime,
yeah.
but it's because his voice actor in the American version is black.
Well, there you go.
So I think that is always like linked.
And he's got a similar hair setup to Uncle Ruckus.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
The beard. Yeah. I thought he was great. And the costume works really good with him.
His doesn't look ridiculous.
No, it looks real.
Whereas sometimes Spike's suit does look a little too out of context for me.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a really good job of recreating it, but again, it's just one of those things where it's like in an anime, it doesn't stand out to you as much.
Yeah.
I like the metal arm.
Yeah, the metal arm looks really nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you think of a space cowboy, Jet kind of thinks looks like what it would look like. You know what I mean?
Also, I mean, maybe we can get into the episodes in a bit, but the show, it does a smart thing in really stretching out everyone's backstory.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I guess you could complain about Cowboy Bebop, but I think it's actually a strength, is that most of the characters, you never learn anything
Never
about
learned
them.
anything about them.
But it's a classic more is less scenario where it's like, if we told you, it wouldn't be as cool as what you're imagining. Whereas in the show, they really take the time to give you everyone's backstory.
Yeah.
They're not all great, but I think Jet's feels really organic.
Yeah.
That he's like divorced dad, angry cop, like classic like Saw 2 setup.
Yeah.
He's like Donnie Wahlberg.
And they gave him like a noir detective background too,
Yeah.
which was really interesting. But also he like extrapolates on all of the integration of like bebop jazz with like the themes and everything.
I thought that was really cool too.
I
that
love
there was
that.
a little bit of discussion about jazz in
I was
the
like,
show.
ooh.
Even the way that like they carry out their missions is very jazzy. Like
Yeah.
he has that scene where he's talking to his old partner and he's like why he's like, don't you see he's like composing on the fly, and that's
Yeah.
exactly how they go about their missions. Like
Yeah.
they may have a plan going in, but it's mostly improv.
Yeah, that was good existential writing. That was good.
And I think the noir stuff really works for me in the
Yeah.
show. Anytime they hit the noir theme, I felt they did it really well. And the episode we're talking about is Dark Side Tango, episode 5, where it's
This is like peak show.
yeah, I think so. The middle of it's probably where there's
Is
some
6
strong
the
episodes.
one where they do that thing with Spike and the machine?
yes.
Oh, that one was weird.
That I really enjoed that.
And you know what?
was
That
strange.
episode is way worse than its anime episode.
Really?
Its anime episode is like classic. But not to get too much into that just yet. What I thought was kind of cool though was in that episode where it's his cop background. Well, first off, in the anime, you don't even get that. Like you don't get any of his background. But in this one where it's his cop background, they really they make you connect with Jet. Like, and it makes it very tangible. It just makes a lot of sense. And then visually, the aesthetic of that episode's killer.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's really solid stuff. And it's also got that sense of melancholy, which is one of my biggest things tone-wise.
Oh yeah, David loves that.
The show's tone isn't as sad as Cowboy Bebop the anime is.
Yeah.
Where almost every episode of the anime, it's either wacky fun time episode or it's like heartfelt episode where at the end you remember that everyone in the show is just sad.
Yeah.
Like every
They're all
character is
broken.
broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the best parts of the anime. They're like really wanderers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They tried to tearjerk very hard in this one.
They tried a couple times. It
Yeah.
didn't work on me though. I was like, get out of here. Get out of here with your
Speaking of
toys.
tearjerk, should we go to Faye Valentine?
Faye Valentine.
It's fine.
You know, I started off as fine, but Faye devolved into like one of the most annoying characters for me.
Quite. Yeah.
I was definitely annoyed by Faye like the whole time, and then we watched the Cowboy Bebop movie the other night, and the whole time I was like, "What's going on with this redheaded kid? Why is this person here? Who
We're
is
talking about
this?"
Ed.
And my God, like,
Oh, that was dope.
so I remember thinking like, yeah, if this Faye person's really annoying, and if that's how annoying I find Faye in the live action, how are they going to pull off this like little redheaded kid? And then you find out, and it's not good.
I'm glad we're there. I guess we'll just go there, but that was the.
Well, hang on. Before we talk
let's,
about
yeah.
let's not skip over
Let's finish
Faye.
on
Okay,
Faye
okay,
here.
okay.
It's probably a good thing that they put some clothes on her.
Yeah, you know, people are complaining about the costume or whatever. It's like, okay, guys, let's relax.
How is a bounty hunter supposed to perform the duties of a bounty hunter while looking like a sex worker?
True.
Now, I just think though, could they have made her pants yellow?
They could have.
You know
something,
what I mean?
yeah, like something alluding to
I
her.
think that would have just had people. But honestly, the thing
Or
for
some
me,
yellow Doc Martens.
and I really want to try to not sound sexist saying this. I understand if she is not as well endowed as an anime character because obviously
You're talking about her breasts.
yeah, drawn by creepy men. But the thing that does bother me is they picked an actress who's kind of short and stocky to play Faye.
Yeah.
When if anything, Faye is
Tall.
extremely thin
Yeah.
and tall.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not just get a really tall lady? She should be around the same height as Spike, or if anything, maybe a little bit taller. I mean, she doesn't have to be like,
Lady Dimitrescu.
yeah, exactly. But the height really kind of threw me off as far as like visual tells of a character. I mean, I got over it. The biggest thing is that Faye, though, is not the same character.
No,
she's like
no.
potty-mouthed, like, I don't even know.
Little annoying sister.
Yeah. Whereas in the anime, she's more of like the annoying older sister who's kind of like
Bullying.
stay away from my things. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? She's very dismissive
She's very blasé about everything in the anime too.
and super selfish.
Yeah.
She's just like, that's like her whole character. Faye's annoying in the anime too.
Yeah.
But in a way that complements the crew. Whereas in this one, I just like don't want to hear her talk.
Plus, Faye is like, Faye is aesthetically iconic from anime. She's one of the most recognizable anime characters in history. And it's just not the same way in this. And it's not just that she's not wearing, like a leotard or something like that, but it's just like,
She looks like Ramona Flowers all grown up.
she just looks wrong. You know what I mean? She's not a bad actress in any way. Daniela Pineda, I think her name is.
Yeah.
But it's just not what it is.
And most of my complaints, again, are not against her. It's against the writers who
writers are
decided
bad.
to make Faye this, like,
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
She's super cartoony about it too. After a lot of her quips, she makes like her like, "Oh, aren't I a stinker face?"
Yeah. It's like she's like waiting for studio applause or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
And the whole mom background episode was just kind of
I
weird.
really hated the Russian character.
Yeah, the mink. Mm-hmm. The Iron
The
Mink.
mink.
I'm sorry.
You can't just be the mink.
No, the Iron.
Okay, we already said Ein, best boy. He's excellent.
The most accurate
what a good boy.
in the entire series.
So, I mean,
I like it when he goes plop plop plop. I like it when he goes. It's all great.
when he plays dead,
Yeah, that dog's killing it.
he is.
I love him.
Oh God, when they have to like leave him behind because he like gets infiltrated by the thing and he just like whimpers on the ground. Oh,
That was heartbreaking.
that was
dude.
the most emotion I felt in the entire series run.
They should have honestly just put him in a cage and kept him in the Bebop.
Yeah, man, put him in a storage closet or something.
Yeah.
Like, don't
Yeah.
just leave your buddy on the street.
But don't worry, he doesn't get abandoned because Ed finds him, and at
needs
the
him,
end of the show, the last 10 minutes or whatever, even less, 5 minutes, we get a scene of Spike, I guess, being kind of rescued by Ed.
Dude.
They mentioned Radical Edward early on in the show,
Yeah.
which is the hacker name for Edward, but no one knows that it's a little girl,
Yeah.
and it might be one of the worst things I've ever seen in
that's
my
ever
life.
happened.
I almost feel like they should have made Ed just like a CGI character or something like that because it was a terrible note to leave off the entire series on.
Honestly, I mean, if you include real world tragedies, it might be top 10 worst things of all time.
Wow. I don't know if I'd go that deep, but I would say it's on par with like the Death Note and adaptation at that point.
I still need to watch this adaptation just because of how awful it is.
God.
But
I think a comparison that I could draw would be like the adaptation of Scary Stories to Tell in the
Yeah,
Dark.
dude, the costume is fine. The hair is wrong.
the hair is too
like-
wrong, and the goggles are like too much.
and the actor is really just ham. Like,
Well, it's like the little bit I got to see of Ed in the movie. Not one of my favorite characters I've ever seen.
No.
A very annoying character. And then to have like a actual person do that as opposed to like something somebody drew.
yeah,
Oh God, it's so hard to look at.
this is something that should have been adapted, not just taken screen from screen.
So Ed in the anime is kind of like a Gen Z who hasn't had their ADHD medication in like a year or something. They talk in words you don't understand. You're like, what are these kids saying? Very wacky. Always kind of like wiggling her arms. Sorry, I always want to say his.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Wiggling her arms and doing weird kind of like. There's an episode where Ed is walking into town, and instead of walking, she's just rolling into town. I mean, it doesn't make any sense in
No,
a real life
it's
application.
cartoon,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a cartoon. But something that Michelle pointed out as soon as that scene came on is in live action Ed, Ed is shouting all of her lines, and Ed doesn't shout.
No.
Ed just says weird things.
And has a baby voice.
And has a certain pacing and like a rhythm to the speech that adds it. It would never work in live action ever. No. So I'm surprised they went to go right on the nose, completely faithful with it.
They should have just changed it. Like, make it a character you can resonate with or understand as a human. It doesn't look like a human. But also, I really hope that they take the feedback. I'm hoping it's very bad feedback for that Ed portrayal.
I don't see
just
how
change the actor.
I don't know how anyone could come away positive from that.
As a bad ending.
Scene.
Oh,
terrible! Like one of the worst last scenes ever.
Yeah,
and we were talking about Dexter right before the show started.
That's funny. That's funny.
Like it's really bad. I don't know if they're going to get a season 2, but if they do,
they will. I think
they need to redo something. Well, I mean, it's been moderately successful.
Yeah, people like it.
People are into it. They're not murdering it or anything. So some people are, but.
Speaking of murdering,
cared more, maybe I'd tear into it.
Speaking of murdering and tearing into something, should we talk about Vicious?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Character-wise, he might be one of my favorite characters. I really like Vicious.
Oh my God! Sorry.
Yeah, I know nothing about Vicious in the anime. I've seen very little of him.
He's very one-sided.
I like his over-the-topness isn't as well done as Joaquin Phoenix's, but it reminds me of that kind of air, especially when he hits his like crazy murder smile. It's so dumb, and I laughed every time. Maybe that's not the reaction you're supposed to have, but I enjoyed it.
Well, this is interesting because, Frank, we watched the movie together a couple nights ago, which if you guys have never seen the Cowboy Bebop movie, it's an OVA, an original video animation. And like a lot of anime OVAs, they're unrelated to the story. So there's no Vicious in it. And then Frank hasn't seen the anime, so there's no Vicious, or he's seen the first episode, no Vicious there. And to be honest, I think in like the 28 episode run,
he's only in like
3 episodes, maybe.
Oh, he's a big old part of this thing.
Yeah, so
it's
interesting because they had to really stretch out stuff to make the show feel longer because it's like hour-long episodes instead of it's 26 episodes in the anime. They had to stretch it out, but they ended up having to give Vicious a whole another scene. And for me, Vicious is the biggest crime against characters, even including Ed.
Wow.
Where I think they got Vicious flat out wrong. Like, first off, he doesn't look the part, which...
Couldn't tell you.
Well, yeah.
He doesn't.
It's difficult to pull off. I don't know why they made Vicious a British guy.
Also. He's kind of petulant.
Yeah.
Like, he's... what's the word? He's like a buffoon. Like he
kind of gets me like Joffrey Baratheon.
Yeah,
vibes.
He's so blinded by his rage and his wrath and his viciousness that he actually can't get anything done.
But it's cartoon wrath, though. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like, and they give you his backstory in like the 9th episode or something like that, and you kind of resonate a tiny bit.
You get where he's coming from.
You get where he's coming from, but at the same time, like he's just like, oh my God, I don't even know what to. A cartoon villain.
And
you
then
know what I mean?
There's scenes where like Vicious is running a picture Goodfellas when you see the cocaine operation.
Oh yeah.
They have all these like naked people working with red eye, which is their drug in this universe. And their like eyes are sewn shut and their mouths are sewn shut. I guess so they can't use any of the red eye.
I feel like blindfolds or something. Like,
blindfolds would have been a lot easier, more practical.
I feel like there's more tech in space than
like how much are these
sewing.
people actually getting paid that they were like, yeah, sew my eyes and my mouth shut.
And how much work are they getting done being like newly blinded people?
How do they communicate with each other?
There's a lot of questions
farts.
there. Well, you know what? They don't communicate because viciously kills all of them. And then like 2 scenes later, he's like picking up the phone. He's like, Moshi Moshi? I'm like, what?
It was really weird.
Like he's cute anime character now? Like what is going on?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I liked all that. I really like the warring brothers thing between like him and Fearless. Like that's cool.
And by Fearless, you mean Spike, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
That they give him this code name, Fearless.
Right.
Which I was telling Michelle, my hypothesis is you have a character named Vicious and you can't rename that character because he has to be named Vicious.
Yeah.
But also that name sounds super ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you need to write something in where the Syndicate guys have nicknames. So let's call Spike Fearless. That way Vicious doesn't sound so silly right next to it.
Yeah.
Damn, I bet there's some ridiculous names in the Syndicate. Like, there's only so many adjectives. Like, somebody's got some dumb name.
Doc.
I think they did the
Dopey.
Syndicate right too, though. I really like the costume design on the Syndicate. Obviously, away from just the basic Yakuza like black and white suit.
The
but
elders look cool with their
Elders
weird
do look
baby
cool.
face masks.
The elders are cool. Sometimes they're like a little silly, like the lower end Syndicate guys, which is, I guess, sort of the vibe of the whole show.
very
but-
Star Wars prequel.
Yeah, but kind of they're just like space Nazis.
Yeah.
But for Vicious, here's the thing for me. Like in the show, and again, he's not in it a lot, so I understand that you got to flesh the character out because they're almost half the plot is dependent on Vicious in the live action. But Vicious is literally vicious. Like he is completely unhinged.
Cutthroat. Yeah.
And his two biggest things are that he's stoic. He hardly says anything in the anime. And then every scene that Vicious is in, the whole time in the back of your head, it's like at any moment, he might kill everyone in the entire room.
Yeah.
Like anytime he shows up, he's on screen, you're like, everyone could die in this room right now if he doesn't hear exactly what he wants to hear.
Sounds
And-
like he's pretty different than in the live action.
Sounds kind of vicious, doesn't it?
Sounds pretty different.
And in the show, he's just like whiny,
Yeah.
entitled son.
Very Kylo Ren-ish.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, they give him the Kylo Ren treatment.
He's got that air of nepotism about him. Like, my
Yeah.
daddy got me where,
He's an
where I
elder.
am. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I feel like the way they treat him in the anime serves justice to that character. And if anything, there's no it really like degrades him as like being the big bad that anyone should care about in the overarching theme, aside from, you know, Spike trying to get with his old flame, and they did pull the whole classic like, nah, she's with me now, you know what I mean, she's my girl, the whole 1-2 with Vicious and Julia overall. But I just feel like they didn't do him justice by giving him backstory
Yeah,
and
yeah.
making him threatening at all.
Speaking of which, though, I guess that brings us to Julia.
Eh.
I think one of the stiffest and most unbelievable performances in the show. I like kind of just like every time she's on screen, I'm like, ugh, this girl again.
Yeah.
And there's nothing memorable about it. The character's annoying. And then the big twist at the end that Julia's going to be
She's the
the
big
boss
bad,
of the
yeah.
syndicate. I'm like, okay, you think the syndicate's just going to be like, sure, let's listen to Vicious's wife
Yeah.
now? Doesn't seem believable to me.
Well, they wrote that line in, David. How can you ask questions when they wrote that line in?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, nobody can talk directly to the elders, so now I'm going to chain you to this furnace, and we're going to play Russian roulette every day, I guess,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny.
That is kind of funny. Well, that's one of the coolest scenes I thought in the show when the group of what are the elders are gonna force Vicious to shoot his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then it was like, nah, the gun's unloaded, you're ours, but don't mess up again. I was
Hey, have fun dealing with that at home now, idiot.
like, yeah. I think it's gonna make an interesting next season if they do it, because now what's fundamental about Spike's journey has now been turned on its head. Whereas in the show, the whole show is about Spike trying to get back to Julia. And now Julia is the baddie and has betrayed Spike. So what does this mean for future Bebop?
Yeah, it's like Spike will have to get into the good graces again of his friends now that they
Yeah.
know who he was.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, would you guys, I have a list of all the episodes here and a couple small details. Maybe we can just, I don't know, give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, or
All right.
impressions if, you know.
For sure.
So episode 1's Cowboy Gospel. We got that casino opening, which I thought the casino opening was really cool.
It had me excited for the show, honestly.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is going to be tight.
I think it also really dials into this different tone that's from the anime, where in the show they kind of going for this like 70s kung fu movie exploitation feel.
That's what I got, yeah.
Even the sets are like a little cheap, but they feel intentionally cheap and also very bright and colorful.
Super colorful, yeah.
It's got a very different look than the anime, but I thought aesthetically is probably one of the best things about the show.
I like the look.
Yeah, the look's pretty good.
Yeah.
But this is the episode about Asimov and the Red Eye and his wife who
Drives into machine guns.
you think is pregnant, but is not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
She's
that was good.
She's mulling.
That was a good switch around.
When I watched that episode and then they show that bullet going through her belly and that red stuff coming out, I was like, man, if I hadn't seen the anime, I'd be like on the edge of my seat right now.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that, Frank? Were you like, whoa, did they just shoot a pregnant lady?
Yeah, I was like, yo, they shot that baby in the head right now.
Yeah.
Like, that was a headshot in the abdomen.
Oh, nah, it's just
a
drugs.
double
Oh,
points.
it's drugs. It's a bunch of drugs. Yeah, it felt the most Western out of all of them because they were in like a Mexico planet, I guess.
Yeah, that was weird.
I think no, well maybe it wasn't you who brought it up. Maybe it was Sichi. But someone was like, the biggest problem with that episode is that they didn't give Spike his poncho.
Oh, yeah,
Where
that
in
would have been awesome.
In that first fight, when he goes up to, well, you saw that episode.
Yeah.
He goes up to Asimov and he's got like a sombrero on and like a poncho.
I liked the confrontation between Spike and Asimov more in the live action versus like in the cartoon. Asimov just kind of sneaks up behind him and almost chokes him to death.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Before his
he
like
does.
lady stops him.
She's like,
I
leave
think
him alone.
the show did it a little bit more fun.
I agree with that. Yeah, first episode for me, I was still, I was on board. I was still a little like, but I was there for it. Second episode is Venus Pop. This is the wedding with the teddy bomber, the guy who blows stuff up with the
The
teddy.
teddy bomber named Theodore.
Yeah, this is also where you get the Council of Elders, and we get this scene that we were talking about where he's got to shoot Julia, but then doesn't, but then ends up choking her, and Jet and Spike start their B plot line of having partner issues.
I think this is a thumbs up. I think it got me more interested in it. The first one, I was very much like, I don't know.
I like the fight in the restroom. Is one of my favorite fights in the show.
Yeah.
There's some really cool stuff going on with that. Also, it's interesting to me that not every episode of Cowboy Bebop, the cartoon, has a fight in it.
Yeah.
But almost every episode of the show does, because I think they know, like, we got to get people excited, and what's going to be more exciting than kung fu fighting?
Yeah.
Fast as
Especially when the
lightning.
kicks are fast as lightning.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
are correct, David.
Okay, third we got Dog Star Swing.
Wait. I didn't give my opinion on the second episode.
Second episode?
I liked it. I thought it was funny.
All right, right on. Oh, you know what though? I do got to complain. This and again,
Do they do the bear head muffle like
that was
yelling
great.
gag in the
they
animated?
don't, which is a great gag.
Yeah, it is a good gag.
that they can't
So they stole our gag from our pandemic episode.
Yeah,
We should sue them and
For-
get fat stacks of cash.
for Contagion.
Yes,
you were wearing
Contagion.
the gas mask.
Dang.
yeah.
Shout out. There is a better gag in the cartoon though, because in the cartoon in this episode, there's another bounty hunter named Andy, and he rides a horse. And he keeps showing up throughout the episode. Every time one of them's about to catch the teddy bomber, he shows up and then accuses the bounty hunter of being the teddy bomber. So it's like Spike's got him at gunpoint. The guy's like holding a bomb. He's like dressed up as a bear. And then Andy comes trotting in. He's like whistling a Wild West theme. And then he's like, I got you, teddy bomber. And he's like pointing his gun at Spike. And Spike's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, obviously I'm not the guy. You know what I mean? And it happens like 3 or 4 times in the
That
episode.
is a pretty good gag.
But then the best part is that it's always when the bomber is giving his big monologue. So he's like starting a monologue about like, well, capitalism is destroying the world and I'm here to reset and then like this, they're just arguing about it. They're not paying attention to him at all. And it's hilarious. By the end of the episode, the bomber's just like, why won't anybody listen?
His manifesto.
How come no one takes me seriously?
That's how you make a crazed mass bomber.
Yeah, right. Okay, episode 3, the Dog Star Swing. I put in here Walking Sally doll. Oh, this is when he's
yeah.
looking for that doll, right?
Yeah, because it's the hot
the
Christmas toy
Jingle
or
All the
something.
Way episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It is. Hakeem is the guy who has all these dogs, and we also get the experience with the face changing technology.
Oh
which
yeah,
is
that's
new
weird. Yeah.
in this show.
I was gonna say that's not from this anime.
This is also when we see the naked drug operation with the eyes sewn shut, which is a little too far and very
I
impractical.
feel like the face changing technology is A, sloppy writing, and B, just like unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't know if
and
you needed to do
overused
it.
in this show.
Yeah, they
Well,
really
they
use it a
had
lot.
to introduce it to use it in Vicious's like chess move.
Yeah. When that happened, I was just like, oh my god.
you never introduce face changing technology in an early episode that's not used in the
I was
conclusion
kind of
the
really
show.
hoping they were going to chop Vicious's head off, like not being familiar
That
with
was
the story. I was
awesome,
like,
yeah.
this would be dope if this is how this guy got his comeuppance. This
Yeah.
would be fantastic.
Also, well, we'll get there when we get to that episode, but felt like that was a really bad plan from these two guys. Like, they just assumed that they could go in and pull that off, especially with his daughter's life on the line. But
Yeah.
this is the first episode of Ein. I mean, Ein is just so adorable. I don't know if they do a great job of him being as smart as he is in the show.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that vibe that Ein was like,
He's supposed to be a super intelligent dog.
he's supposed to be as smart as a human?
Nah, I see a cute little dog, and I'm like, look at this dumb dog. I bet he runs into walls.
I wish you could see him as he is in the anime where he just pops everywhere.
There's a great episode where Ed finds a bunch of mushrooms. They have like no food left, and Ed picks these random mushrooms.
Nice.
And then instead of giving them to people or trying them herself, she decides to like leave one out, knowing that everyone on the ship will steal them. If they see food, they'll just steal it. And then the whole episode is just everyone having a drug trip.
Well, that's kind of a humane way to do it. Like you have to unknowingly, but you have to volunteer to be the guinea pig.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is a pretty good episode, I think.
Yeah.
A decent episode.
This is right at the ramp up.
4 is Callisto Soul. This is the eco-terrorist episode.
Okay.
Turning people into trees, dude. That was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty grotesque, like watching branches spurt out of people.
What else is here?
I like this
There
one.
was that weird thing where she like is trying to search for that guy's whatever. Who knows? I wasn't paying attention. But God, the guy who is trying to help her find the con artist, he has like she's trying to find his phone after he turns into a tree, and she reaches into
that's
like
right.
the front of the tree, and her hand comes out covered in what looks like semen.
She reaches into a pocket.
Yeah.
But was his pocket, but now a tree pocket.
Yeah.
And it's all goopy. Yeah, you're right. That was really like kind of disturbing.
That was strange. I was like, wait, we're doing some Green Knight stuff right now? Like, that's what we're doing?
Dang. We're always doing Green Knight here on the channel. But yeah, that's more or less it. Faye joins the Bebop officially in this episode.
Yeah.
And then immediately betrays them and steals Ein. But then comes back. That's classic Faye. This one's pretty good. You know what? In the cartoon, they have a dynamic that really cracks me up because it's the eco-terrorist, the mom who's the leader.
Yeah.
And then she's got like 3 putsy children.
Yeah.
And it's exactly like Futurama.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like Futurama.
Yeah, it's exactly
Mom?
Futurama. It's
Yeah.
like mom, and she's always smacking the other ones.
Yes, mother.
It's so funny. But yeah, pretty good episode. Pretty good.
pretty good. Actually, the most
Felt a little
accurate.
Batman-y.
Yeah, I can see that.
Very Batman. Now that you're mentioning it.
The most accurate depiction of Faye Valentine in the entire show was in this episode.
Yeah, I think you're right. This does feel like Faye.
Yeah.
5 is Dark Side Tango. This is the cop episode we were talking about.
Good episode. Great episode.
Yeah, and in the present day, there's a prison convoy that crashes, and then there's all these bounties that like all over the place, and Faye and Spike are like arguing, trying to decide
Which ones are gonna go
which
after?
bounty to go after.
yeah,
And then by the end, there's no bounties left. This felt like authentic Cowboy Bebop to me, which I thought was cool. And also, like I said earlier, the ending where Jet finds out it's his partner who betrayed him, setting up the classic Bebop melancholy. But then also, I think they really well crafted the doubt of Spike telling Jet that he was a syndicate guy because he knows that Jet's not going to accept him.
Yeah.
And I like how many little pieces they leave for you to see like, well, this is why Jet feels this way because he has been betrayed by all of his closest
By his partner,
relationships.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's a double that you get double stabbed when you find out that the dirty cop isn't the guy who's now banging your ex because you're like, oh man, and this guy's like a decent dude.
Yes,
like
that's the worst part.
Sucks.
It would have been better if he was a dirty cop because then you're like, he can arrest him and then maybe I'll have a chance.
Maybe I'll have a shot.
Maybe his wife will be like, oh, you really were the good guy. But no, it
turns out he's a stand-up guy. Damn it. He's even going to let me skedaddle out of here so I don't have to deal with any trouble.
Yeah, he's even helping me out.
David,
poor
what did you think about Punch and Judy?
Punch and Judy, the Elliott Smith song, or
well, it's funny that you say that, but it's the anchors, the bounty hunter show anchors, who are a big part of the anime, like a huge part of the anime. They're in every episode almost. But
yeah, that's true.
But I freaking hated it, dude.
Really?
I really wish they didn't do it.
I thought they were okay.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I like the guy's accent. I like his performance. It's very campy. The one thing I kind of didn't like, and this is, I said I wasn't expecting everything to be totally truthful, but in the show, in the cartoon, I should say, they like you said, they're reoccurring characters, but they never break character
no
until
fourth
their
wall or
last
anything.
appearance.
Oh yeah.
So the whole time they're like, well, listen up, Cowboys.
They're having a rootin' tootin' time.
Yeah, and they're hitting that. And then the last episode, you see him right at the end of the episode. The guy's like, "Oh, and a special announcement. This is our last episode. We've been canceled." And then the girl breaks character. She's like, "What are you talking about? Like, you're gonna hear from my agent." And then the feed cuts. And that's really funny to me because she has this like Texas accent the whole time it's kept up. But in the show, they immediately have her break character.
Yeah.
Like the first time you see him.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like
They never come back, too.
the gag doesn't pay off as well.
Yeah.
Whereas if we saw them 4 times or something, and every time it was like, and then the last time, that's how you create a comedic scene.
Thought they did it wrong. Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
was okay.
It's not a huge deal breaker for me. I was surprised that they had her wear the costume that she wears in the
I know.
anime.
They were causing a huge stink about Faye Valentine, but this chick is out here with her cowboy boobs like out here.
Yeah.
Well, it's a matter of practicality. You can host a television show looking like a sex worker.
Guess
Amen.
so.
Yeah.
Amen.
You don't have to do any like flips or chokeholds or anything.
That's true. What else do we got here? Episode 6, binary 2-step, emphasis on bi. This is when Faye's...
I was like, what is this guy? Oh, yeah.
This is when Faye has that relationship with the ship mechanic. I was like, dang. you're so-
relationship?
or fling. One night, one middle of the day stand.
Yeah, nice little lick.
Wow. That's as crass as we've ever been.
I don't think so.
Faye.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
I think
I'm
it's
sorry.
a little worse.
On recording. Faye's. This was the most fan servicey thing. I was
Oh
like,
my
whoa, this
God,
feels
I
like an
know.
anime episode. What's going on right now?
Yeah, this was very forced, and
You think it was forced?
I
I
just-
thought it felt okay.
I think it was
It seemed pretty consensual to me.
Oh, that's funny. No, I honestly thought it was just typical Netflix.
Well, it is funny because I am on the side of representation, but
Sure.
it cracks me up so much that Netflix always makes a gay character. No matter what show it is, no matter what they're adapting.
Always.
There's always one character who is gay, and especially they're
Mix
probably
it up a little bit, Netflix.
Yeah.
Just throw like one minority in, one handicapped person,
that's old news.
one crazy QAnon believer.
There you go.
You know what's hilarious? If you watch the newest episode or the newest season of Curb, Larry David's trying to sell this terrible show that he's writing. And he goes to Netflix in one of the early episodes. And when you see the panel of Netflix people,
Yes.
it's like everyone is like a different minority. There's
Yeah.
like one person in a
They all
wheelchair.
are.
And they don't even bring attention to the joke.
Nope.
But the joke is there. If
They're
you're, like,
all
looking.
they're all just yes men too.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
They're all like, oh,
hilarious.
that sounds great, Larry. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all just clearly like production pawns.
I love it at the end of the meeting when he's like, "You'll find him a pleasure to work with. Just don't give me any notes." And they all laugh, and he's like, "I'm not kidding.
I'm not
All right,
kidding.
Goodbye."
Is Larry mad? He slammed the door.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my. Did he talk to you about the restroom? So what else do we got here? Oh, this is the episode that Frank was talking about with Dr. Landis.
Yeah.
When the
yeah.
VR episode and they create that great like "Are you still asleep?" gag, and they do it pretty effectively in this episode. I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah, I was like, yo, this is trippy. This is some fun stuff that I like here. This whole time I've been trying to think of like a better way to put my stumbling like initial impression in. And I think the best metaphor I can draw, or the best way to describe that like vibe I'm talking about, it's the mix of like an action film, but also like with soap opera like storylines. I
Yeah.
think that's what it is for me, because
Yeah.
anime does that a lot. And this episode feels the least like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This one feels like sci-fi.
This could be an
Yeah.
episode of Firefly.
Yeah. Which,
It's
in my
awesome.
opinion, much better space cowboy series.
Definitely, 100%.
Obviously, I would rank Firefly above the live action Bebop because I have a brain. You know what I mean? I don't know if I could put it above the cartoon.
Above Cowboy Bebop the
Above,
series.
like, if I was like, okay, you can only watch one space western for the rest of your life. It's either Cowboy Bebop the cartoon or Firefly the live action show. I would have to like take a year to decide that. They're almost equal. They're so good.
Which movie's better?
You know what?
Which
I
series
think-
has the better movie?
Firefly, hands down,
Yeah.
dude. Because
I
the
think-
Firefly movies where things happen.
Yeah.
I think The Mandalorian actually counts as a space western too now, though.
Mandalorian is 3 for me.
Dude, that is one of my top.
It's really good.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really good, but it's not better than Firefly.
You know what? I don't know. I'll have to watch it. I haven't seen Firefly.
Yo, you're in for a treat.
Nor Serenity.
You, much like everyone, the greater audience, did not watch Firefly,
Yeah.
and that's why
Yeah,
there's
it's
only
true.
that one season.
I love everyone in it. So.
You, like most people,
Yeah.
have not seen Firefly. You should honestly today. I know we say this all the time, but after this, when you go home, you should watch the first episode. And if that first episode doesn't get you,
then it's
you're
not for
fine.
you. You
can
should
walk
be
away.
all in.
But dude, you watch that first episode and you're going to be like, this is live action Cowboy Bebop. Like,
Nice.
this is what it should have been.
All right.
3 days later, you'll be watching the movie because you had finished the show.
It's
only like, what, 7 episodes or something?
I think it's
like
like
that?
10 maybe.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
somewhere in that amount. It's
And if you
really
watch
small.
it on Netflix, there's 2 of them that are out of order.
Oh, they
It
have them
gets
all
really
in there?
confusing.
Okay.
Yeah, it is confusing.
Interesting.
There's a couple and apparently they showed them on TV out of order.
What?
Like it was a mistake they made when airing, and people were even confused back then. Like, what's going on?
Did I miss something? Yeah.
Which is pretty sad.
Yeah, that sucks. They didn't even care enough to like
To
release
make
them.
sure they're in the right order.
Yeah.
I know, man. It's so harsh. But anyways, you got to watch that. Okay, so where are we at? We're almost done.
We're on 7, I think.
7, Galileo Hustle. The Bebop crew take on a con artist that has Faye's identikit. This is Faye meets her mama episode.
Yes.
man.
Vicious has a meeting to plan the coup, yada, yada, yada. Vicious Julia scenes are getting really old, is what I wrote.
Yeah, dude.
And then Kimmy's recital when Spike fights the Minx Men.
Okay, there's good and bad parts to this episode.
I think that was the best part of the whole episode.
Yeah, I think so too.
The B storyline is way better than the A storyline.
Yeah.
You know,
Or other way around, I think.
the A storyline, when I found out it was all like a sham, I was just like, wow, that was a huge waste of time. But then also, well, part of it is like, A, that's a huge waste of time. B, I don't care about Faye's background.
What do you mean by waste of time? You mean by like the twist at the end? Or
Yes,
what?
by the
That
twist
it's a
at the end.
big-
That it's a kink.
That it's a kink roleplay?
But I also loved that.
I love that too.
That's what made it all worth it at the end. I was like, man, I don't even care about Faye's background. Now that I know this was all just for a kink, I was like,
Yeah.
that's great, dude.
Like, damn, give me a spin-off series of just this lady.
Yeah, just role playing her way through, and then like people were like getting killed. You know?
Yeah.
for
People died for this kink.
kink roleplay. Wow.
That con artist is living her life the way that Woody character wishes she was living hers. The one who's always like, she's the redhead who has those meetings with Jet, and she's always trying to get Jet.
Oh,
back.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's some cringy dialogue too, like
Some
blackmail.
cringy teeth.
Well, you're black and
Oh,
you're male.
I had forgotten
It's
about
like,
that.
Oh my gosh. Why are we? How did this make it into a show?
I don't know, man. That was the best part of the episode, though.
This one's very divided for me. There's parts I really like about the episode, parts that I'm like, eh.
But you're right. The Vicious stuff gets overplayed.
But they spend so much time on him,
like-
and Julia's terrible, and then Vicious is like petulant and whiny. I'm like,
And-
I don't care about either of these people.
And it's not even a story line or point that is original in any way. You can like name it in so many different movies and stuff that's just like that you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, stop spending time on it.
Although, I mean, I guess I wasn't honestly expecting Faye to double cross or double cross, but
For Julia to double cross?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the double either.
that threw me. But the reason no one expected is because it's nonsensical and it's
And
stupid.
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Like, at what point, like, was it like when the car was rolling over? Was that the point where everything just flipped for her? Like minutes before this confrontation?
Literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, because right before the car crash, it really seemed like she was ready to go off with
Spike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or she's just really good at acting, which her performance tells me no. So I don't know.
Not likely.
She was not. That was a terrible actress.
Okay, episode 8 is actually one of my favorite episodes. Sad Clown a Go-Go. This is
Yeah,
the
that was pretty cool.
Perot Le Fou episode. I gotta say, he has like a bullet shield where they shoot him and the bullets stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, how come Dune couldn't pick this up?
Yeah. When that happened, I thought the exact same thing. I was just like, that shield looks so much better.
This is way better than Dune. What are they doing?
You know what it was? There was nothing there. I didn't see the shield. All I saw was the bullet stop.
And it had the same rules as the shields
Yeah.
in Dune, where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it'll stop fast things, but the knife will penetrate, and it sticks to those rules.
Yes.
You're right,
I was
you're
like,
right.
dang, Dune.
The rules were clear, they were executed, perfection.
Yeah, at first, I was just like, this Pierrot character is really getting on my nerves. But then they get to like the Earth Carnival or whatever. And I was like, this is dope.
when he
Like,
has that moment with the clown behind the glass and
dude,
his reflections in the
shot
face.
was
Oh,
so
God.
cool. I
I
loved
love
that
that.
shot. That was amazing.
The tone was really creepy, really well done. Felt different than the rest of the show.
And I feel like you could smell that character a little
Yeah,
bit.
I straight up thought that was Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like, he looked exactly like Jean-Claude Van Damme when they showed him
That'd
up
been
close.
fun.
I
He
was
looked
like,
more
whoa!
like the governor on the like spin-off governor episode to me. When the governor like goes off and
Oh
meets
my
that family.
God.
When they
Yeah.
do the sad indie episodes.
Hey, that's a great episode though.
You
I
know
like
what?
that
I
episode.
didn't like those episodes when they
Oh,
came
man.
out. Rewatching Walking Dead, though, I was like, hey, I can get
That's a
behind
good
this.
episode. Yeah.
It's also when Tara shows up, that character
Oh,
no
yeah, I
one
forgot.
likes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's where they meet her, and she's originally on the other side. Like, she's one of the governor's people, and then she changes the last minute.
I hate that character.
You know what? Tara's, like, really annoying. And And the second time through, I didn't like her any more than I did the first time.
There you go.
But then she dies, and I'm like, all right.
All right, we can get past
Shot
this.
with like an arrow or something.
Spoiler alert for Walking Dead.
Sure.
She gets her head chopped off when the Whisperers show up.
Oh, sick.
Ooh.
When
tight.
when the Whisperers make their border and they kidnap a bunch of people to make a border out of their heads.
Nice.
They
nice.
chop off Tara's head and put it
Great
up on-
comic book panel.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
great scene, man. Just like shocking. Done well in the show. Anyway, the fear of dogs, and then I love like when Spike stabs him in the leg, and he's just like, "Oh,
Mommy.
it's which is straight from the anime. It's like, ooh, done perfectly.
You know what? Speaking of Walking Dead, that's weird that we got into this because my thoughts of how generic the story is between Vicious and Fearless is literally a Shane and Rick like
A Shane and
situation.
Rick. Yeah, I guess
Almost
so.
kind of. With the details make a big difference, though, I feel like.
But you can't knock Shane like that.
Oh, treating him like Vicious? No,
Well, because I think
Shane is competent.
Shane's one of the best villains in Walking Dead,
Yeah.
just because he starts off as just a guy.
Yeah.
And then it's like they did a Heisenberg, but only in like 2 seasons.
Yeah. Well, and that tension is felt in real time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh my God, my husband's alive. He's here. Oh my God, my best friend's here, and I'm with his wife, and I love her now.
And then,
You know what I
now
mean?
she's pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
it just keeps racing. Like, the stakes keep going up.
Dude, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
Like,
dude. And then
that's-
Shane hits him with some good lines.
Yeah.
Like, I'm better for Lori than you, man. I'm a better father than you. I'm like, ooh.
And then there's that field. There's the field
Yeah.
scene. Like the showdown is
Dude,
amazing.
Walking Dead season 2. Fantastic.
Anyways, that's how it should have been done. Something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Actually, yeah, John Bernthal plays Shane closer to Vicious than the guy
That's
who plays
funny.
Vicious does in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of that thing, John Bernthal's just a straight up animal.
And not to sound racist at all, but instead of a British guy, they should have just went with the Japanese dude. They should have went with stoic Japanese man. The swordplay would make more sense. The Syndicate Yakuza vibe fits in better.
Damn, they could have gotten the lanky Korean dude from Squid Games.
Oh, and trained to Busan?
Yeah.
The Prodigy.
Prodigy.
Yeah, the
No,
guy
you're
who's
talking
supposed
about
to be
the
all-
financial guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the finance
I can't
guy.
remember
Oh,
his name.
Song Woo?
Yes.
Song Woo, yeah.
Song Woo. Did you know that
You're
he
doing good.
graduated top of his class at SNU?
SNU.
Yeah, he's just a small town kid, but he went on and, you know.
That actor would have been good, and I think the Japanese actor from I don't know if you guys remember the movie Predators. Did you guys ever see Predators?
Yeah, I did.
The Yakuza guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think he would have been great for it. I think it would have been great. Super stoic, but
That's the one
definitely.
where they drop the humans on the planet to hunt them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's
yeah.
the best Predator movie.
It's
Next to Predator.
I,
One.
next Predator.
Yeah.
that movie's really fun.
Anyway.
I've never seen Predator 2, but I'll have to do
Oh
that.
God, it's so bad.
Episode 9. I didn't type the name out correctly.
This is
so
just Vicious backstory, isn't it?
Blue
Blue Cello
Waltz.
Waltz?
Blue
Yeah.
Crow Waltz.
Crow Waltz.
Yeah, this is the backstory episode. For me, some of this episode was a little deflated for me. Part of it's like John Cho, they just tried to make him look younger by
Yeah.
tying his hair back.
Yeah.
It didn't really work.
They like tied it back so tight that it like
It
pulls
pulls
on
his
his face skin a little bit.
Yeah.
Side note: John Cho looks real old, man. That's also
You
why
think so?
I
Yeah, he does look
got
kinda
way
old.
too many wrinkles to be Spike Spiegel, man.
Yeah, so I mean, Spike's supposed to be like 27 or something.
Yeah.
But for
so
me,
is Vicious.
it also doesn't make sense though, like how much life Spike has led in the anime for the age he is.
Yeah.
Because then he would have been in the Syndicate when he was like 15 or
Right,
something.
he should have been some kind of like
Yes,
child
it's-
soldier.
It would have been
Well,
possible.
he kind
though.
of was like he was brought up in the Syndicate according to the backstory. You know what I mean?
Until,
They
like,
like
According to
took
the-
him in.
According to the backstory of the anime or of the live action,
Yeah.
which I don't think is what happens in the anime. I need to rewatch the last 2 episodes still. That's where I'm at. The real folk blues. But
One quick criticism is they didn't have Spike fight with his hands in his pockets this entire series.
Damn, is that something he does?
Yeah, with his
Sometimes, yeah.
feet, bro.
Kinda cool.
With his feet,
well,
just
it's,
like
it's because he's just too aloof. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, I don't care about even taking my hands
He's
out of my
aloof
pocket.
and he's got those Bruce Lee
he'll
feet.
straight up take people
Yeah.
out with his like kicks and stuff, and that's amazing. It's funny. That's what he would have been.
Yeah, exactly. But
I want that.
let's just be honest. You can't be as cool as Spike in real life. There's just no one who can do it.
No.
How you gonna do it?
No,
It's impossible. He's
he was made for edgy anime posters. Like that's
Yeah.
that's Spike Spiegel.
for reals. Okay, so all right episode. I love it when Spike kills the girl, when he breaks his own
Yeah.
rules. And that whole scene of him going through and killing the whole cartel
That was awesome.
is really
Well, it's like that dude told him, like everyone, all survivors know, as long as there is a survivor, the war doesn't end.
yeah.
It's like, well, I gotta
I gotta
Damn
do
it! I gotta shoot this lady right now.
And then finally we get to the last episode, Supernova Symphony, which I think we talked mostly about, like throughout the episode. Jet's daughters is kidnapped, which I think is a great way to raise the stakes of the episode. And also, like, everything kind of culminates. Like, Spike has to tell Jet that he's a syndicate guy. You know what I mean? Well, Jet kind of figures it out before he has to tell him, but...
I like the multiple Mexican standoff, like, confrontation at Anna's. Like, that's pretty good.
Oh,
guy.
yeah, that's
pretty funny.
Yeah, everyone cool it, and then like 5 seconds later, who are you? And he pulls a gun back out again.
Well, I forget the character's name, but like the maitre d' of Anna's,
Grint, I think.
Grint?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Grant?
I love that.
Grindel?
Oh, my
I love
God.
how he's just like, man, I thought we were over this already.
Yeah, that is really funny. You know, something weird? Gren is his name.
Gren.
Something really weird, but Anna in the anime shows up for one episode for about 5 minutes. You don't know who she is. You just know that she knows Spike, and she owns a convenience store. And Spike walks in, and he's looking for Mao Yinrai, who's one of the elders in the show. But in the anime, they show him for 5 seconds. They show he gets murdered by Vicious. And he just comes in and says, "Hey, Anna." And she's like, "What are you still doing here?" She like slaps him in the face. And he's like, "I just came back because my past is catching up with me." And then they're just drinking alcohol together, just like getting real sloshy. And she's like, "I need one more drink for Mao." And he's like, "This one's for Mao, I'm drinking myself." And that's like the end of the scene. You just know that she cares about him and that he's been gone and everyone thought he was dead.
I like Anna.
And in this show, she's like a huge character.
Yeah. She's
And
good.
They also have this little John Wick thing where it's like a club for assassins where no one can attack each other.
You know the rules, yeah.
Which is also funny because I heard that Faye, the actress, Danielle Pineda, she trained with Keanu Reeves, who's training for John Wick 4. So they were like at the same camp training together for their roles. And apparently he's a big Cowboy Bebop fan.
Ooh, that's cool. He just keeps getting cooler and cooler.
He's so cool.
I think Danielle Pineda, for all the criticisms I've given her in her representation of Faye, she's good. She's serviceable. I really did like her stunt work. I think she was pretty believable.
Very believable there. Very believable there. Well, I think that's pretty much every episode. I mean, talking through it with you guys, talking through it episode by episode, I feel like a little bit better about the show than I did.
Maybe it's because of the aftertaste that the last part of the episode left.
It is just a horrible ending.
Because I was like getting ready to come over here and I was like watching the ending and I was just like, okay, that was okay. And then the ending Ed scene came up and I was like, oh my God. Ugh.
Yeah, it really makes you want to vomit.
That's how I ended my day last night. Like I had to like watch something else to kind of shake off the gross.
It was the same feeling that I felt when they CGI'd Harold Ramis's dead body into the newest Ghostbusters movie. I was like, oh no, how could you?
It definitely, I mean, it's definitely in a tier. It's like Tarkin, Leia,
Polar Express Tarkin.
yeah. And then Ramis is like, wait,
at least Ramis looked better than.
And then young Luke. It's like Tarkin, young Luke, and then Leia, and then Ramis down here.
And then Ed's like above all of those live action Ed. So terrible. I don't know. I mean, we didn't even talk about it, but the music is killer,
dude.
Oh yeah, it's weird. Nobody said anything.
They brought back the original composer. Yeah,
and the original musicians. It's the same band.
That band is slamming, dude. There's a scene, I think, in the second episode where they're playing a piece that's just amazing. It's playing this, you know what I mean? I can't remember it, but it's incredible. It's off meter and it's got this crazy syncopation and they're in the bar. Super sweet scene. I mean, the music is incredible. Incredible. It's definitely, if they had adapted nothing else, I'm glad that they adapted the music because that gives you the Cowboy Bebop feeling.
Yeah, it needs the music.
Yeah.
And it completes the aesthetic, which I think the visual and the music together is probably the best part about the show.
Oh, yeah.
And then the acting's ranked below that a good ways, and then way below that is the writing. Which, if they just did a little bit, this could have been this is all right, to like, hey, this is a solid show. And you know what? People who don't even like the anime might be into this. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Some of my final thoughts is just that like I'm 95% sure that this show was concepted with pleasing the crowd first, and then it was concepted with the notion of making promotional GIFs and promotional 30-second
Well, that's
ads.
that's just like the way of the world today, right?
Yeah.
It's just like everything's got to be
That's
ready
how
for
you do a Netflix adaptation, my man.
bite-sized
they
consuming.
they had like completed the title sequence and they were just like, all right, put it out there so they'll be happy.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, spoon feeding things. Okay,
Yeah,
come
dude.
back for more.
Look, they're wearing the same costumes.
Which for the most part, I was like, all right, they're wearing the same costumes.
Yeah.
I do want to stomp on Frank's role a little bit. And I just thought the numbers were very interesting. Just the IMDb reviews here. Cowboy Bebop, the live action, has a 6.6 out of 10.
Interesting.
Which I think is actually right around where I would rank it. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I'd say like 6.
Execution wise, that makes sense. Just personally not invested in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like emotionally.
Yeah, I can see that. That's fair. The movie Cowboy Bebop, which Frank watched the other night with us, is a 7.9, which I think honestly is maybe a little much. It could be 7.5.
I was going to say that feels a little too high for me.
That movie's like kind of too long and
It's
a little
kinda boring. Yeah.
We were watching it and we were like, ugh. Which you know is crazy though? In the movie, the guy's name is Vincent Villaju. He's the bad guy because again, it's like an unrelated story. And when Ed shows up in that last scene, Ed says, we need to find Vincent Villaju before he does some spooky things.
Yeah.
Except Ed's screaming at the top. It's like peaking out the meters. But that means that if they do season 2, they're going to be adapting the storyline from the movie, which I thought was interesting. And then I was also like, oh, but that storyline's kind of boring.
Yeah.
So that'll be
Maybe they spice it up.
It put me to sleep for a good 10-15 minutes, and it was early.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, though, you had been day drinking through a Cowboys game.
Yeah, I finally had a day off to watch a game, and
Yeah.
I watched the Cowboys' offensive line not show up. So it was a little bit of like sad drinking
Kinda
too.
rough.
Yeah. And then on top of that, George was also talking through most of the dialogue.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him because was dragging on a
boring.
little too long. And then lastly, the anime is an 8.9 out of 10.
That's a little low.
Which I think is a little low.
Yeah, it's
it should
pretty
be
low.
like 9.5 maybe. I mean, it's honestly one of the best. So anyway, I just want to share the numbers with you because I think that's pretty interesting where the numbers line up. And then lastly, a request from the two of you. Danny, you need to watch Firefly episode 1, man.
Yeah.
You just need to watch it. And I guarantee you, you're going to be like, dang, this is a good space
I can
western.
toss my endorsement on that.
And then Frank, I just refuse for one of my friends to not be in a Cowboy Bebop. It's selfish. But you know what?
What you got? What do you got for me,
hold up.
David?
You got to watch through episode 5.
I was gonna ask you what's the
Because episode
What's the
5
mark?
is Ballad of the Fallen Angels, which is actually kind of what they adapted in the last episode of this show.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like an Evangelion crossover.
No. That'd be funny. No, it's like Vicious battling Spike for the first time. If you get through episode 5 and you're like, then I'll, you know,
All right, buddy boy, I got you. It's already in my continue watching on Netflix.
I'll hang up my hat. But if you can get through there and you're like, man, it's killer.
We'll see. I'll have to update everybody on the next
Yes,
podcast.
let us know. And then Danny, you too. And then for myself, I don't know. You guys can give me some other space western. Am I missing any?
Nope.
Not that I know.
Not that I can think
Let
of
me
right
know.
off the bat.
I'll watch something in exchange. That'll be fair. Okay, well, I guess that's it for the Bebops.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to have to go ahead and kick us on over to...
Oh, that's interesting.
Ooh. David's got the OT.
I think we're supposed to do character limit extended first.
I was pretty sure before I even hit the button, and I'm sorry for waking you up there, Meryl. You were nice and sleepy, taking a nice little nap.
You know
But,
what? I'm
it
sorry
felt
for
right.
for you know making it clear that we did something out of order. No one would have known.
Nah,
Okay,
nobody
so-
would have noticed.
Matthew McConaughey says he'll make governor-run decision soon.
What?
Didn't he say that like 5 months ago?
Maybe. All right. Well, I'll tell you this. A few weeks ago, I was listening to Ear Biscuits, the Rhett and Link podcast, and they had Matthew McConaughey on. It was a great episode. It was a really weird episode, too. They're talking about some book that he wrote.
They didn't ask him about anything.
Well, what was interesting is right at the end of the episode, Matthew McConaughey says something. He's like, maybe I'll run for governor, maybe I won't. And I was like, what an interesting thing to just bring up totally unsolicited. Like, I think he's honestly really thinking about it. This is an article from Screen Rant by Bethany Guerrero. She says, Matthew McConaughey will soon decide on a run for the position of governor of Texas. One of the most recognized actors of his generation. He's been featured in blah, blah, blah. We know True Detective, Interstellar, yada, yada, yada. These include, sorry. Just gotta skip ahead. Apparently, he was a hand model. That's interesting.
Huh.
Since breaking into the entertainment industry, he's gone through several distinct phases in his career. As we know, we have like romantic comedy period McConaughey, and then he took a break from that to try and get more interesting roles, more something to chew on. As a native of Texas, he occasionally teaches at his alma mater, the University of Texas at Austin.
Huh.
And earlier this year, he teased he could take on a more prominent role in the Lone Star State and revealed he was considering a run for the governor of Texas. So, and I'm actually kind of coupling this with another article from Dallas Morning News. Greg Abbott holds a 6-point lead over Beto O'Rourke, bigger edge in a 3-way Texas governor's race. So they did some early polling. But obviously, this is very early polling from 2022 for a 2022 election. Abbott and O'Rourke, they did a poll, and Abbott is at 45% of the electorate, O'Rourke at 39%. And a substantial 22% want someone else to be governor, is what the poll found. That's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
It's kind of crazy to me. Like, obviously, you know, we're in a Republican state and Abbott is incumbent, which is always a benefit. But, like, Abbott literally let people freeze to death.
Yeah.
And he's still ahead of Beto O'Rourke.
It's going to be hard to win the governor's seat in Texas when you told everybody explicitly that you were going to take their guns away.
Yeah.
Shot himself metaphorically in the foot.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy to me, too? That whole presidential race, there was no talk about gun control. He was really hitting, like, healthcare and reform and all this stuff. And then in the last debate, and I think, honestly, it was a Hail Mary pass.
Yeah.
It was like, I need people to talk about me. And then he's like, hell yeah, we're going to take your AR-15. And I was like, there goes any chance you ever had at winning in Texas.
Yeah.
And he came close to beating Ted Cruz, man.
Yeah.
I mean, as a senator, he might have a chance. I don't know about governor.
No.
I mean, that's the only way he could tank a run against the Zodiac killer so hard is saying exactly what he said.
He became the caricature that they wanted him to be on his own.
That's a good point. I don't know if any other Democratic nominee for president ever claimed to take anyone's gun.
No.
Ever.
Not that race, especially. That's suicide. That was political suicide, what he did.
And it's annoying because people are always saying, like, well, liberals want to take all the guns away. And it's like, well, who? Who is it you're talking about?
Oh, Beto.
Oh, it's Beto O'Rourke. That's what you're talking about.
And, you know, he's played his hand, I think. He's been congressman, it's fine, but it's too soon for him to try and do something of this magnitude when he couldn't even win the Senate race in Texas. But I just don't. I'm telling you right now, he's not going to make it.
You don't think he's
not
no
gonna
chance?
make it.
So what do you think though about Matthew McConaughey if he goes up against Abbott? Can he pull it off?
He has to declare what his party is first.
That's true because he kind of defines himself as a centrist.
Yeah. He has. I've looked at some of whatever policies that he's spoken on, and you know he's for, he's not for vaccine mandates. He's not for. He is for like masking up, and he believes in science and stuff like that. He's also about. He seems more libertarian of like an old definition of libertarian, not conservatives who claim to be
Not
libertarians.
like Steven Crowder or something.
Right, not like a
Or
Ben Shapiro
full-on
guy.
Boogaloo Boys.
Yeah. Or Joe Rogan or anything. But I do think that he could give Abbott a run for his money if he claimed to be Democrat. If he ran as Democrat, I think that he could win. Because, as we all know, America is stupid and they love star power. And star power means something nowadays.
Damn.
And yeah, he could definitely win, I think.
What do you think, Danklin?
I think he could do it. And
Think so?
I would prefer him over Abbott.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
prefer almost anybody over
So
Abbott at
what
this
if
point.
what if you had to vote and the three choices were Abbott, Beto, and McConaughey? Who are you voting for?
I'm going for McConaughey.
Yeah, McConaughey for me.
I think I might too. I mean, I just don't believe Beto O'Rourke.
I don't.
I like some of the things he's saying, but I'm like, you are just another corporatist who is not going to do
That's exactly the
anything
thing.
you're
He
saying.
seems so corporate.
And he is incompetent in doing that too.
true.
He's incompetent. I don't like his family. I don't like.
Especially
I don't like his wife.
Especially in El Paso, his
Yeah.
family's had a long history
Of not being super great.
big money
big
swindling
money,
kind of
and
stuff.
even my grandpa, who was a late police investigations chief in El Paso, arrested his father.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for some stuff. Mm-hmm. So not savory. But I just don't believe him. I don't believe him. I know he's a sham, and it's just because girls want to do him. That's why.
Wow.
I'm sure a lot of his
Hot
electorate.
takes, man. I'm loving this.
I bet you if we look at his like polling numbers, I'm sure a lot of it is like 18 to 45 white women.
Wow. Well, you know what? We have it on record. We're going to check out those
Well, look
polling
at it.
numbers when it comes down the line.
Watch
I
him
bet
be
you're right.
on the money.
I bet he's right.
Yeah.
I bet you.
Curiously enough, I think Matthew McConaughey might affect that demographic
Yes.
of voters.
Yes.
Which is why it would steal from Beto for sure.
And here's the weird thing. I trust Matthew McConaughey more.
Yeah.
And
I
he's
do.
an actor. People who you famously should not trust.
Sure.
But he seems like
A good guy.
pretty upright guy. Like,
Well,
I
it's
might not
'cause-
agree with him on everything, but he seems all right.
Yeah, and the whole being a centrist thing is nice. I like middle of the aisle. You know what I mean? You can listen to arguments from both sides.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for some reason I trust him, which is crazy because he like is a liar by profession.
But
I know that about him. He's
yeah, we
upfront
know
about
that.
Yeah.
But also he is, and this is sadly a lot of the appeal that I'm sure the right had when Trump was coming in. But this is real because McConaughey has his own wealth. And he doesn't have to worry about lobbying wealth. He might get some lobbying wealth, but I'm not worried about him taking this for money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm interested on his position on corporatism and like
Sure.
campaign donations. I am curious to see, because if he does run, that will be the big thing, that he's not a politician.
Yeah.
And that people are going to maybe scrutinize his credibility and his knowledge, but he's not a dumb guy. So I
Sure.
think maybe he could do it. I don't know.
And then that'll free up Greg Abbott to pursue his lifelong dream of opening a school for gifted children.
Yeah, and then Greg Abbott can also star in a bunch of like rom-coms. Like he could do Wedding Planner too.
There you go.
I'm also going to say that Greg Abbott is a literal cartoon villain.
It's true.
And he has made a platform. I mean, he was like relatively unknown before 2016. And then like since then, he's just been about owning the libs. And he's like up there. It's like there's Trump, there's Ron DeSantis, and there's Greg Abbott who are just out there to own the libs.
Just like goon.
Yeah.
Just he's a political goon.
will do anything to please the right. Anything.
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 Wow.
But yeah, that being said, also be worried about Ron DeSantis possibly being the next candidate for the right.
Gross.
Yeah.
Maybe McConaughey should run for president because who knows who's going to do it.
Anybody,
Sure.
apparently.
Yeah.
For the Democratic Party, I don't know if they got anyone on the
Kind of a
ticket
mess,
this next election, man. Get ready for Trump 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, God.
Anyway, that's all I got for you guys.
Well, that was pretty interesting, David.
And you know what? I'm going to, in 2022, McConaughey wins the election. We should do a McConaughey month.
Dude, I'm down.
We just
Yeah.
hit McConaughey in honor of the governor.
I'll have a much brighter, optimistic outlook on Texas's future if it is McConaughey.
Yeah, for reals.
You know?
Crazy.
All right. That's going to kick us on over to where we were supposed to go. Character limit.
Extended.
Nice.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank
What
you.
are we extending on? Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Afterlife.
Isn't it me? I think it is. I had the
Yeah, you
Hemingway.
had the Hemingway.
Oh my god.
Which is sad.
Oh my god.
Because I feel like you had the most to say about this.
Yeah, right. Maybe I should have had the. I'm glad I didn't. Even Tony on Instagram, like we had posted up the review, and Tony was like, "Whoa, David doesn't have the book report." I was like, "Dang, okay." So even the viewers are recognizing that the odds are against me all the time. But
That's
who cares?
true. That's true.
I love the book report. This time I had the shortest review. I had like 90 Hemingways too. I was just thinking a lot about all these different things. I mean, the biggest thing for me is like the movie just feels so unnecessary. Like it just feels like
It didn't have to happen at all.
it didn't have to happen. I don't know what was brought to it. It's mind-boggling to hear all these people talk about how like, oh, it was a heartwarming nostalgic journey. I've never felt this emotional watching Ghostbusters. It's like, guys, a comedy.
What?
There's nothing emotional about Ghostbusters.
You telling me you don't get flooded with emotion in the original Ghostbusters watching Dan Aykroyd's eyes roll into the back of his head?
For some reason, I don't know.
for some unknown reason, unforeseen, you can only see anything.
You
But
talking
you know
about
what it
you
is.
talking about this ghost?
The ghost filleting?
Did you guys watch that video I sent you?
No, I still need to watch it. When I texted you guys for coffee orders today, I was like, damn, I still need to watch this
I'm
video.
sorry. No.
Okay, so in this elusive scene in Ghostbusters, the one that everyone remembers very well, where Dan Aykroyd is receiving some sort of
Stimulation?
stimulation from a ghost lady. In the background, they're playing, the Ghostbusters theme song, and it's like the B section, dum dum, digga digga dum bum bum, bum bum. Well, this guy found out by like studying the track and realizing that, hey, they took the lyrics out in the scene. You know what I mean? And in the scene, the lyrics that Ray Parker Jr. is singing over it is, "Bustin' makes me feel good." And they took those lyrics out of that scene, man.
Because you can't.
Because you can't be
you
that
can't
on the
do it.
nose, man.
Oh my!
But it's one of the most beautiful realizations in the history of the world. Anyway, back to what we're talking about.
Wow. Yeah.
Here's a huge gripe for me. In the movie, there's a scene where they're watching the Ghostbusters commercial on YouTube, and assumedly it's got millions of views. You know what I mean? It's been around for a long time. Probably as long as YouTube's been around. Who knows? People watched it. And in that YouTube video, there's a phone number on the screen for the Ghostbusters. So then now in 2021, little McKenna Grace, who's the main character of this movie, is calling that number to try and reach the Ghostbusters for help. And Dan Aykroyd picks up the phone on the other line. They've already established that, hey, the firehouse is gone.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this phone number is still attached to Dan Aykroyd's business. He's there in the middle of the night, just working at his table conveniently right next to the phone, because Dan Aykroyd's like, hey, in my contract, I'm going to stand in two places. Decide which two places I'm standing, and I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to do anything for this role. I'm here to deliver exposition and then get out of here. And she's talking to him about the Ghostbusters. And as soon as he finds out the conversations about the Ghostbusters, he's like, well, I should just hang up the phone right now. It's like, dude, you're using the Ghostbusters phone number that's on a YouTube video that's like 40 years old, and you're upset that people are calling you talking about it. Why not change the number?
Yeah, you would think you would have gotten to the point where you needed to change it already.
How do you even have this number still? It should have been changed already. You had to actually like request for this number's line to be transferred.
Because it's a landline.
Because
Nobody
it's a
has
landline.
8675309 because you would never be able to rest.
Yep.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling to me. It's lazy writing, and I think the movie is doused with lazy writing. And then you get to the end, and it's like, man, why did we have to do Gozer again?
Yeah.
Why did we have to hit
That's
it
lazy.
so hard?
It was the third act of the first film done completely again.
It is exactly Force Awakens, which was, I think, a Hemingway that I didn't use.
It was more on the nose than Force Awakens.
It was for
the
sure.
exact literal last act.
It was strange. I think
There's Dana. Oh, there's Zool.
Yeah, there's everyone.
And they're going to do
doggies.
this because the dogs have to mate again. You remember?
Now they're going to be statues, and they're going to have to break them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the Hemingways I didn't use was Stranger Things 7, The Force Awakens. That's exactly what this feels like. It feels like they took Stranger Things.
Although, admittedly, Finn Wolfhard did not need to be in this film. His character serves no purpose.
They didn't have anything to do, and maybe if they didn't spend the last third of the movie retreading the first Ghostbusters,
Right.
He
then they
got the
could've done
car
something.
running again, I
Yeah.
guess.
I guess.
Why couldn't it just been something new? Like, why couldn't it just be a different antagonist?
Because then you have to work at writing a story,
I
Danny.
know.
Yeah. And then you don't have people going, oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
This is what I'm here for.
Toys. Small Stay Puft. Toys. I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm good, man. That's my piece. I just, this movie feels unnecessary. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. And McKenna Grace did a good job.
Yeah. She's my, her and Paul Rudd are my saving grace of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I feel like they should have just been brave and kept it an indie drama. Like, why even try, you know what I mean? Like, for the first 60% of this film, it's serviceable. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool.
And it's got its own tone, at least.
It's got its own tone. And it's something different. Then they just were like, hard, let's go Ghostbusters 1. Let's bring everything back. And then stuff is nonsensical at that point. And they totally take away from, like, the endearing nature of not seeing Harold Ramis and, like, him being a spirit, like, guiding the granddaughter by bringing him back and posting his corpse on scene. And
it is so offensive.
It's
man.
offensive. Yeah.
It's so offensive that they would do that when someone's dead.
And the fact that the ghosts in general can speak and, like, turn into corpses and stuff, but his nasty corpse on screen just has to nod. And
Yeah, they weren't going to go that far.
oh, that's too far for them.
They were like, man, can we cut dialogue from Ghostbusters and remaster it and put it in this one?
And why the rest of the three guys showed up in suit with the proton packs ready to go off screen.
And again, they're like, okay, we agreed in our contract that we're going to stand right here next to the car. Okay, we'll give you one take of each line you've written for us, and then we're out of here. So
Sounds like a pretty easy day at the office.
before we kick it to Frank too, I discovered after we left, because there's that little middle credit scene where Dana's there, Sigourney Weaver shows up, who's like, yo, I'm not even leaving my house. If you want Bill Murray to come over, I'll shoot some lines, but I'm not going anywhere.
They couldn't afford to get her in the movie.
No, she was like, I'm not touching this. Are you crazy? I'm Sigourney Weaver. What are you talking about? But apparently there's another after credit scene,
What?
which we didn't even stay for, which is like,
What? Yeah, I couldn't wait to get out of
which
there.
is Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson, because you remember you see the Ghostbusters car driving into New York. It's like, what are these kids doing in New York? But apparently it's like Ernie Hudson welcoming Stranger Things Ghostbusters to the firehouse. Like, hey guys, it's yours now or whatever. But it's also like, you told us you got rid of the firehouse.
They even said it got converted to something
It's
real
a Starbucks
dumb.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a Starbucks now.
So what? No one caught this?
But then also, aren't these kids like 12? Don't they have to go to school?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, who are these?
No, they go to school on Zoom now.
Imagine if you had like an entity haunting your house and it was so extreme that you had to call someone to come and remove it. And then like Finn Wolfhard shows up with like two preteens.
With his new muscles.
And they're all they're just on their phone the entire time and like shooting the proton
Yeah.
back at the...
Ridiculous.
Don't do another one, please.
No, they will. They made their
cranking
money.
them out, dude. Yeah, it's killing it in the
has
box
been
office
making
right
too
now,
much
which is
money.
unfortunate.
No, they just had the winning formula. Do the movie again with the Stranger Things crew.
Yeah, and then when we get to the next one, people are going to be like, "Oh, this isn't as good. Like, the plot's not good." And it's like, well, it's because
They were trying something new.
because they had to write something now.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't work out. What about you, Danklin?
So I had the most words to talk about this movie, but the main things I want to hit are this Ghostbusters sequel gave me a new hate for family comedies. And I think part of it definitely was I haven't been to like a family movie and I don't even know how long. So my movie experiences for years, childless in the theater.
Dude, this
Not
really threw
the
me for a
case
loop
this
too,
time.
man.
Like I was like, what is happening right now? I couldn't even handle it
hate
at
it.
all.
I hate kids in the theater.
But yeah, what just a mediocre, not good movie. Wasn't. I mean, it sucked as an experience overall.
It
I
wasn't
laughed a few times, and I was angry at the fact that I was laughing. If
Yeah.
I'm being honest,
Yeah.
It wasn't offensively bad.
No.
And I think a lot of people are going to walk away saying, "Oh, that movie's okay."
I think everyone's parents are gonna love it.
It's just like why. I mean, obviously the answer is money, but like, why make an okay movie to follow up one of the greatest films of all time?
Well,
Yeah, you're right, money.
I mean, to defend it, it's the last two that did follow up the greatest movie of all time were flops. And
I
especially
really
the third
like
one.
Ghostbusters 2.
I don't like Ghostbusters 2.
I think Ghostbusters 2 is okay. It's like a little bit of that 1980 sequel stuff where it's like, let's hit it again.
But bigger.
But
yeah.
the thing is, though, and my hypothesis about Ghostbusters is nothing else really matters except that like those four cast members know how to work off of each other. It's like the right level of improvisation. And
Yeah.
you talked a little bit about Ghostbusters, like kind of being that first staple of TV to movie acting a few podcasts ago. And it's like, well, these guys were like SNL was so huge then, and it was huge because of three of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now they're on the big screen, and that like comedic magic is just perfect. And then I was like, man, you'd have to get a bunch of modern day SNL people who are killer. And then I was like, oh, that's Ghostbusters
That's
2016.
rough.
I mean, and
Yeah.
like on top of that,
That's
it's
definitely-
You're right, though.
It's the first almost perfect
'Cause SNL
amalgamation
sucks.
of like sci-fi horror comedy. Like they were able to masterfully hit all three genres so well.
You just can't catch lightning in a bottle twice. Like
You cannot.
Yeah, you can't.
Which was funny because on the Hemingways, I accidentally said fire in a bottle.
Huh.
And then I was like, wait, hang on. It's lightning. So I definitely couldn't use that one. But
I didn't even catch it when I,
didn't
was
either,
editing.
yeah.
How funny.
I thought I got the sentiment you were saying.
yeah, when I was
from it.
editing, Michelle's like, isn't it lightning in a bottle? And I was like, shoot, it is.
Nah, it just sounds stupid. Beep.
But that's really what it is. It's like you can't recreate that because you'd have to have the exact same people in the exact same circumstances. And I don't even know who's funny enough today to do it.
There's no one on the SNL crew that comes near the caliber of them.
Yeah.
Especially today. SNL is such a drag now.
Like maybe like Bill Hader, Will Ferrell, like that generation, a couple of those guys.
Jason Sudeikis.
Like if they had hit it, in 2010.
That should have been the Ghostbusters, like
Yes.
revamping. You take
Yeah.
like those SNL characters and like redo Ghostbusters. That could have been fun.
Yeah. Which I guess they tried in 2016, but I still haven't watched it and I don't think I ever am.
Same.
I've just seen clips and I almost threw up every time I saw something from it. I was like, what in the, this is like a goof. This is like an SNL skit.
Well, it's the Paul Feig on it. It's got that Paul Feig like, we're just gonna roll the camera and just let's riff and let's see what comes out.
I had respect for Paul Feig from The Office.
Yeah.
But no.
And Bridesmaids. He's got some good ones.
Yeah. Bridesmaids is hilarious. It's one of my favorite movies. I'm serious too. It's super funny.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
It's just a bad. I don't trust him.
Sometimes you got to pull the reins in. You can't just let it all be, whatever comes out.
And I used to hate Melissa McCarthy, but she has really like revamped her acting chops, and I like her in dramatic roles. She's really good.
I haven't seen any of those.
There's a movie that's called "Can You Ever Forgive Me" or something like that, and she plays an author who like blatantly plagiarizes things from like way back in history, and she gets off like makes a ton of money off of it and stuff like that, and people like someone finds out and she has to like redeem herself and all that.
And how did you feel by the end? Did you forgive her, or how did, as an audience member?
No.
You were like, what? Actually,
No.
pretty unforgivable.
No. She's not White Lotus. Oh my gosh, the one with Nicole Kidman, and it's
White
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
No, it's not White Lotus. It's the one on Hulu, and
White Mountain,
something like that. Anyways, she's really good in it.
White Little Lies, or something like that.
Something like that. Honestly.
Perfect Little Liars.
Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers.
That's what it's
Perfect
called.
White Strangers.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. 9 Perfect Strangers. That's what it's called, I think.
There we go.
Anyways, there's some redemption. I just don't think what's her name, Kate McKinnon, is funny in any way.
I like Kate. I think Kate McKinnon's funny, but
She plays too stupid.
I like her Hillary Clinton. That's
she's
really
good at that. She's good at that.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, what a bummer.
Yeah, what a bummer. I mean, but we knew
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
it was
did
going
know.
to be a
That's
bummer
true.
going into it.
But I
Like,
mean, when the live action Cowboy Bebop is better than your new Ghostbusters movie,
if I had to watch one again, I'd rather watch the Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, easily.
A saving grace is that it's not as low as Scary Stories. It was close.
Better.
It was really close. But
Yeah, I'd say it was better than Scary Stories by a long shot.
yeah, that's true.
Oh,
Yeah.
that wraps it up on Ghostbusters Afterlife. And that's going to kick us over to Peeps and Predict.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Now we're having fun.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Give me a little peep peep.
Everyone's favorite
Literally
debate,
pee pee.
everyone's favorite debate segment where we take real or fictional groups or
just gonna-
individuals and have a good old debate about them.
I'm just going to have to grab that sample and put it on your fan.
Yeah, I got you.
Give
I
me a
got
little
you.
of that.
I'll grab it out.
All right, everyone. Tell you what, why don't I give one of you guys a
Man,
predict?
you got some torn up hands, man. What happened to your hands?
Oh, yeah, they look really bad. Those on camera, you can probably see.
Yeah,
if
it looks like you
zoom in.
fought somebody in middle school.
I
Looks
was
You fought a cat.
chopping down some tree branches yesterday, and
got all scraped up.
I was having this discussion. We were watching horror movies, and how sometimes a character will get impaled by like a stick or something
Yeah.
like that, or land on wood. And Raven was just like, "That can't happen with sticks." And I was like, "You don't know how sharp wood can
Dang.
get." I was like, "This wood gets really sharp. This is just twigs," and I was just getting cut up left and right.
It's sharp and some wood's very dense and hard.
True.
Yeah,
it'll kill you
Dang,
dead.
it'll
Be careful when you're trimming branches and stuff. And another thing, branches are a lot heavier than you think they are, even if they look light. Like, be careful. That
I'm
stuff
going to
could
give
paralyze
a small plug to the subreddit r/Felling Gone Wild if you want to see some tree accidents.
you. Please.
Felling Gone Wild.
You guys going to have to send me your
Interesting.
r/slashes.
There you go. Yeah, in the comments, hit us with your favorite subreddit, and also, check out Uninformed Movie Reviews on Instagram, Facebook,
Nice.
your favorite podcast platform.
We should say before that the P&P champ is Aaron from You're Next.
You're next.
The peeps going up today to start us off are Tom Waits versus Tom Jones.
Wow.
Okay.
And
All right.
I think I got the perfect first predicament here.
Now, let's give someone some context
yeah.
before, because there's probably some young viewers and listeners. Tom Waits is a folk singer from like the 80s, 90s.
80s, 90s. And still recording music today.
Yeah, he's more of an actor now.
Yeah, he's in all the Jim Jarmusch movies, like Coffee and Cigarettes.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
all of those Jim Jarmusch features.
Got a great role in,
like this.
yeah, he's got that fantastic role in Wrist Cutters.
He's got kind of
yeah.
like a Ron Perlman face. You know?
Yeah, he does look like
he
Ron
looks
Perlman.
like they could be brothers or
Yeah.
something.
Tom Jones.
It's like an old country singer, isn't he?
He's swing.
Yeah, he's like a swinger, crooner kind of guy.
Famous from Vegas. He sings "What's New, Pussycat?" Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh god, this is gonna be awful.
Isn't he the one who does the song that the Carlton dances to? Isn't that Tom Jones?
Oh my gosh, what is the Carlton dance song?
I don't know. Isn't it in Fortnite?
I don't know. We'll figure it out right now.
Anyway, there's your context.
Okay, there's some context for you. I'm still a little lost on Tom Jones, to be honest. I know that tune, but I don't know much more about him.
Oh, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
No, that's a Les Reed. Oh, and Tom Jones. Yeah,
Oh, there
it
you
is.
go.
It is
Hey.
the Carlton song.
Way to nail it, Frank. Here's their predicament. The first one: who's most likely to love watching Little Monsters?
It's not unusual to
I
love
would
Howie
have
Mandel.
to give it to Tom Jones.
I would too, because just from Tom Waits' acting, like IMDb credit, I would think he'd like better movies than
Yeah,
Little Monsters.
I don't think he's got any time for Little Monsters.
Yeah. I don't know. Let me see here. Tom
Jones seems like he loves everything unusual.
Dang, that's a good point, man.
And you can never discount somebody from the golden ages of Hollywood as being a pedophile. It's like,
Wow.
yeah, there's a pretty good chance.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Jones has seen some stuff. He was the ladies' man for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not. No, let's be straight. I'm not accusing Tom Jones of being a pedophile. I'm just saying maybe.
You
Maybe.
hear that, TMZ?
I'm
Don't
saying-
start your article on Frank.
I'm saying we don't know he isn't.
Yeah.
Tom Jones' his favorite movie is Braveheart, so I think Little Monster's not that big of a jump.
No.
Very similar vibes.
Although Braveheart is a great movie.
Aren't both those movies really about freedom?
Ain't that the
There ain't no
truth?
parents out here in Scotland.
Oh, wow. That's good. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay, that switches us over to our 2 out of 3 predict, which is, look at this, guys. I got it.
Nailing it, Dan.
No,
Nailing these rules.
I got it. Let me just open this paper and then I'll really get it. The next predict is who's most likely to be OP AF at Smash 64.
Oh, interesting. Are we saying that they are characters in Smash 64?
Yeah, let's say that they are.
That they're the fighters.
Yeah, they're
Interesting.
unlockable like a new challenger approaches.
Man, I mean, I think this one's got to, for me, this one has to go to Tom Waits because he actually just seems like a guy who could beat you up. Whereas like Tom Jones, I don't know in what scenario he would even be considered threatening.
You would have to be a lady with opinions, I'd imagine.
I'm just going to say that Tom Jones would probably be a reskin of Jigglypuff.
Interesting. Okay.
That's so weird.
Whereas Tom Waits has a little bit more of like a Donkey Kong vibe, you know what I mean?
I could see him almost being like Link. Maybe Donkey Kong. You know what? You're right. He's more of a brute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's got like big power, but you got to like time your moves right. Whereas kind of the situation with Jigglypuff, you know what I mean? You really have to time your moves right if you're Jigglypuff to get that sleep move. So, but with brute strength, I mean, if I went up DK against Jigglypuff in 64, I would take DK.
I agree with you, man. I never pick Jigglypuff. That's just the way I roll.
Because Jigglypuff doesn't get OP until Melee. Everyone knows
It's
that.
been like 20 years and I still don't understand the timing to put people to sleep with that move.
Oh, I can do it, yeah.
I can't do it. I'm
With
always been bad at
Jigglypuff,
it.
yeah, I really when it's like the Falcon Punch or the number 9. When you get it right, it's so satisfying.
This is a shout out to my friend Justin Gibson, who is the owner of Aurelia's Brewery here.
Oh.
He is OP at Smash Melee, one of the best players I've ever played and in the
He's
country.
a peach, right? If I remember correctly.
He can kill you with anyone, really. I've played, yeah, he does kill with Peach, pretty crazy. But I played his Jigglypuff one time and almost cried because he was just you couldn't get anything.
And you know
in.
what? Great beer at Aurelia's.
Oh
man.
yeah,
What
and
a-
food.
What an awesome spot.
Not a
One
sponsor.
of the best beers I've ever tasted was in that guy's kitchen when he was just brewing beer like
out of
a
garage.
sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows what's up. Very passionate about the process.
Not a sponsor, but check out Aurelia's Brewery over here on the west side.
We'll
on
plug him
Wrestler.
for free.
Yeah.
We'll plug him for free.
So that said, I think Tom
That's a tie,
waits.
right? Yeah. So now tiebreaker.
Yeah, we do
Tiebreaker.
need that. Oh my gosh, an actual 2 out of 3 before we even get to the champ. My goodness.
What could happen? What could happen?
Who's more likely to be a better lead than baby-voiced Mackenzie? Thomason Mackenzie.
I mean, Tom Waits is an actor.
Yeah.
it's true.
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones would be there like he was doing a cameo.
And
Like,
you know what?
"Hey, I'm Tom
He
Jones."
has cameoed in Mars Attacks, and he's
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. He cameos in some sitcom too.
Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yeah, and I feel like
Does
maybe-
he?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, they
he's
totally have
in
an
that
episode where he's
70s
there.
show too. I feel
He
like he
might
shows
be.
up in that show.
Actually, yeah, I think so.
I think he does. At least his music does. They reference his music a lot.
Or Tom Waits has been a great secondary character.
Yeah.
I've seen him as a secondary character, and he's good.
He makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. All right.
He's got that voice.
Yeah.
Tom Waits.
Tom Waits' voice is way more satisfying than Thomas and Mackenzie's
On the spectrum of voices, they're at polar opposite
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah, you know, you're right.
How weird.
100%. All right. Well, that kicks him over to our champ, Aaron, of Your Next. Their predict being.
Why don't you give it to Frank? This poor guy hasn't read any of these.
There you go, buddy.
Give us this winner.
Damn, now the viewers are going to find out that I don't know how to read. Why would you set me up like that, David?
I drew pictures on all of them in case Frank kills them.
Who's most likely to be in the next A24 joint?
Tom Waits.
Tom Waits because Aaron is a character, not a real person.
Darn.
Yeah, and you can't. That would be copyright. There would be copyright issues
Yeah.
there.
And also, like, even then, if they made a sequel to Your Next, it wouldn't be an A24 movie.
Nope.
No.
It's not the right vibe.
And Tom Waits is like in indie flicks.
Yeah, this is like Tom Waits' thing.
It just makes sense. I've never seen that actress in much else, let alone
Yeah.
indie flicks. Man, that's a real bummer.
Wow, that was really easily
sometimes
just.
it happens, man.
She's been the champ for 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think 2 episodes.
It seems
past
like
the one she
longer
won.
because we're bi-weekly.
Not bad for a pretty like arbitrary character in our PMPs. You know what I mean?
But also like just a character who's super deadly.
did she outlast Amin
She's
Goot?
been there since Halloween.
Did she
I'm pretty
outlast
sure.
Amin Goot?
I think the Goot Man only lasted one extra episode,
I think it was 2.
maybe 2. But
I think 2.
I think she beat it. I think she might have barely edged out
Dang.
the Gooter.
Edging with the Goot. So that means that our new PMP champ is Mr. Tom Waits.
Tom Waits.
Congratulations, Tom Waits.
Yeah.
Way to go, Tom Waits. Well, before we exit on out of here, I just wanted to shout out, man. We got Resident Evil CLE next week. Will it be better than Dune? Will it be better than Ghostbusters? Will it be better than Cowboy Bebop? Who knows? We've seen a lot of stuff we've had mixed opinions on recently. I'm curious to see. I'm betting on this movie will be bad.
I'm betting this movie will be worse than a Paul W.S. Anderson. Resident
Really?
Evil. Yeah.
I don't think it's possible to be worse than Paul W.S. Anderson, but I'm prepared to be proved wrong, and I'll enjoy every second of it.
I think it's going to be worse than the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil, the first one. You know what I mean?
That's his best one, to be fair.
What do you think, Frank?
Not looking forward to it. We'll watch it, and I'm sure I will have opinions that aren't so flattering.
I almost wish that HBO or Warner Brothers had done it so that I could just watch it at home.
I'm expecting it to be like boring because of it's going to be like way too like action packed. It'll be like popping at the gills with over the top action.
And
I'd
it's
imagine.
just a CGI mess from the commercials I've seen so far.
It's going to be like us and 2 other people in the theater when that movie comes out. That's definitely a movie that should have been streamed at home, I think.
yeah.
If it was on HBO, way more people would watch it than go pay $13 to see
Yeah,
it.
even like put it on something I don't have. Put it on like Discovery Plus as like a way for me to subscribe, and I'll take that free week trial. You know,
Make me subscribe and I'll take your free
That would have been the weirdest release ever. Like, watch the new Resident Evil movie on Discovery Plus.
Nat Geo.
exclusive to Disney Plus. And then after that, we have our movie gift exchange with something new. We're going to surprise each other with movies that we think the other should watch. And then we'll have a podcast. So we'll see you guys soon about that.
Could be perfection. Could be a total shit show. I'm
That's
excited
right.
to find out.
That's right, and we're almost at the end of the year for UMR. Our second
Well, the year for everybody, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Chinese people.
Except for the Chinese.
Yeah.
That's true. It's starting all over again. Yeah, hit us up, as David said, on Instagram at Uninformed Movie Reviews. Check us out on YouTube. If you are already, hit it, like, share, and subscribe. Give us a share. Tell your friends. We really appreciate everything you did. If you're on Apple iTunes or Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, please. Helps us out in getting out there. That was nice, right?
I loved it.
I thought that was
perfect.
very sweet.
Oh, thank you. We're getting into T. Hanks given time, which is
Are we?
2 days from now. We're going to be...
Or 4 days after this is 4 days.
Oh, that's
after
right.
This
This
is
will
released.
true.
have been T. Hanks giving time.
Yeah.
I hope you...
Everybody's belt loop is one size bigger.
That's right.
I hope you guys didn't watch Forrest Gump. Pick a better time.
I will hope that you guys enjoyed some T. Hanks and were T. Hankful for everything you have in your life.
I really hope the Cowboys beat the Raiders.
Yeah, let's hope.
I hope they don't, so I can laugh about it.
Yeah, this football's going screwy these past couple weeks.
Screw football.
Anyways, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. See you later, Space Cow folk. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun.